All right, ready to step into the world of antiques. Today we're talking antique shop manager interviews.
Ooh, exciting.
Whether you've been in the business for years or you're just starting out, this deep dive is for you.
Sounds good.
We're going to use some really great resources from RoleCatcher. They have these career guides, sample interview questions, even some info on how AI can help with your application.
AI for antiques.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll get into that. But first, let's get a handle on what this job actually involves.
Okay, so we're talking about managing an antique shop. What does that really mean day to day?
Well, RoleCatcher's career guide really breaks it down. You're basically running the whole show. I mean, think about it. Daily operations, curating collections, managing staff. It's a lot.
That's a pretty big responsibility.
Yeah, it's definitely a hands-on kind of role. And it's not just about knowing your antiques. It's about business skills, too. Managing inventory, finances, marketing.
You gotta have a good head for business, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And the work environment can be pretty diverse, too, right?
Right. From those little boutique shops you see to those huge antique sections in department stores.
Totally. And the job outlook, get this, it's actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. The career guide mentions a 5% projected growth rate. Not bad for a field that some might think is, a little old-fashioned.
I guess antiques never really go out of style.
True. And that's why being prepared for that interview is so important.
All right, so where do we start?
Well, RoleCatcher does a nice job of highlighting some of the pros and cons of this career path.
Okay, let's hear it. What's so great about being an antique shop manager?
Well, the guide talks about flexible hours, getting to work with those one-of-a-kind items, the potential for, high profits. I mean, those are some pretty tempting perks.
Yeah, those do sound good. What about the downsides?
Sure, the career guide points out that the income can be kind of unpredictable. You're always on the hunt for that new inventory, and let's face it, you're going to run into some interesting customers.
I bet. You'd need a lot of patience for that.
Oh, for sure. Dealing with those challenging personalities can be a real test.
Definitely.
So thinking about all of that, what really stands out to you? Like, what parts of this role really get you excited, and what are you, prepared to handle?
That's a good question for anyone thinking about this career.
Right. While you're pondering that, let's talk about something pretty cool. How AI can actually help you with your job search.
AI? I thought we were talking about antiques.
We are, but RoleCatcher has these amazing AI tools that can really give you an edge.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So their AI can actually analyze job descriptions and then compare them to your CV.
Okay.
And it highlights any skills you might need to, emphasize or maybe add to your resume.
Huh, so it's like having a personal assistant for your job applications?
Exactly. It helps you tailor your application to each specific job you're applying for.
That's really smart. I can see how that would be helpful.
And they even have this AI-powered CV and resume builder. It basically helps you present your qualifications in a way that aligns perfectly with what employers are looking for.
So it makes your application stand out.
It can definitely increase your chances of getting shortlisted.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay. So we've got the big picture. We know what the role is. We talked about the good and the bad. And we even touched on that AI advantage.
Right, but now we need to get to the real stuff, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the heart of this deep dive, the interview questions. RoleCatcher have this treasure trove of sample questions.
Awesome.
We're going to spend most of our time really breaking these questions down, okay? We'll look at what the interviewer is trying to figure out with each one, the best way to approach them, and even some interesting things from the sample responses to get you thinking.
I like it. So we're getting prepped and ready to impress.
Exactly. These questions are designed to test your knowledge, your skills, and your experience in the antique world.
Makes sense. They want to know if you're the real deal.
Right. And they're also looking for those, those less tangible qualities, passion, enthusiasm, a genuine love for history.
That's the heart of it. So what's the first question they might throw at us?
Okay, here's a classic. What experience do you have in the antique industry?
Seems straightforward enough.
It does, but RoleCatcher points out that it's not just about listing off your previous jobs. It's about showcasing your passion for antiques, even if you haven't been paid for it.
So what, like volunteering at a museum or something count?
Totally. Restoring furniture, appraising items, even just collecting in a specific area. All of that shows your interest.
I see. It's about painting a picture of your journey in the antique world.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher even suggests structuring your answer like a story.
A story about antiques.
Yeah. Their sample response actually mentions talking about a specific antique that really captivated you.
Oh, I like that. A piece with some, historical significance or a unique craftsmanship technique?
something that really sparked your interest. So think about it. What's your antique story? What piece really ignited your passion?
That's a good question. Everyone's got an antique story, even if they don't realize it. All right, so what other questions are we likely to get?
Here's one that tests your industry knowledge. How do you stay up to date with antique trends and market changes?
Ooh, that's a good one. The antique world is always changing, right?
It is. And they want to know you're not stuck in the past, that you're keeping up with the latest trends.
So how do you prove you're on top of it all?
RoleCatcher's insights really emphasize mentioning specific resources that you use. Things like trade publications, online forums, going to antique fairs, even following reputable experts on social media.
Got it. Concrete examples are key.
Right. And their sample response even suggests mentioning a recent trend you've noticed. Maybe the growing popularity of mid-century modern furniture or, how vintage clothing is making a comeback.
Right, those are good examples. Sharing those observations shows you're paying attention to what's happening in the market.
It does. And don't be afraid to mention how you've incorporated those trends into your own buying or selling strategies.
Shows you're thinking ahead.
Exactly. So how about you? How do you stay informed about the latest happenings in the world of antiques?
Lots of ways, but we'll save those for later. Let's keep going.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Think about this one. Can you describe your management style?
The leadership question.
Yep, this is where you get to showcase those leadership skills.
So what are they looking for? A tough boss? A team player? What?
RoleCatcher says the key here is to be authentic, to highlight your strengths, and to back up your claims with real examples.
I like that. No fake it till you make it here.
Right. Are you the collaborative type who loves working as a team? Are you results-oriented, setting clear goals? Or are you a mix of both?
Most likely a little of both. But how do you prove you're a good leader in an interview?
That's where those examples come in. Have you mentored someone successfully? Did you put a new system in place that really improved things?
So those little wins are what matter.
Exactly. And their sample response actually suggests focusing on a specific anecdote, a story that really shows your management style in action.
I love a good story. They're memorable. So we're thinking of a time when our leadership really made a difference, right?
Yes. It could be a time you motivated your team, resolved a conflict, or even just created a positive work environment. What leadership story will you share?
That's a great question to think about. I'm going to have to ponder that one.
Okay, let's move on to something super important in retail. Customer service, especially in a place like an antique shop.
It's all about creating that special experience, right?
Yes. This question, how do you ensure customer satisfaction in an antique store? Right. It's all about demonstrating your ability to make every customer feel valued and well satisfied.
So it's not just about making a sale.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's insights emphasize the importance of showing that you can guide customers, help them find the perfect piece, educate them about the history and value of what they're looking at.
Makes sense. You're like an antique advisor almost.
Right. And their sample response mentions things like offering refreshments, creating a welcoming atmosphere, even making personalized recommendations.
Those little touches go a long way.
They do. It's about creating an experience. So what about you? What unique ways would you make sure your customers are happy in an antique shop setting?
Lots of ideas, Bring.
Keep those in mind. Now brace yourself. Here comes a tough one. Can you describe a time when you had to handle a difficult customer situation?
Ooh, the dreaded tell me about a time you messed up question.
It can be a little daunting, but we can handle it. RoleCatcher reminds us that what they're really looking for is evidence of your problem-solving skills.
And how you stay calm under pressure.
Exactly. They want to see how you handle conflict.
So how do you ace this one?
Well, remember, it's not about pointing fingers or dwelling on the negative. It's about focusing on how you resolve the situation effectively and professionally.
Right. Turn that negative into a positive.
The sample response really stresses active listening, empathy, and finding a solution that works for everyone involved.
Okay, that makes sense. So think of a time when things got a little tricky with a customer. Maybe they were unhappy with a purchase, or there was some miscommunication that led to frustration.
Right. How did you approach that situation? What steps did you take to calm things down and reach a resolution?
It's all about showcasing your composure and problem-solving skills. What's your story of gracefully handling a challenging customer interaction?
That's a great one to think about.
It's a good reminder that even when things get tough, you can turn it around. Okay, let's move on to a question that's all about operations. How do you manage inventory levels in an antique store?
Ah, the inventory game. A balancing act, right?
Big time. And this question really digs into those organizational skills, that business sense.
RoleCatcher really emphasizes being proactive. It's not just about knowing what you've got, but planning ahead, making those smart purchasing decisions.
So, like anticipating what's going to be hot next, what people are going to want.
Exactly. Think about how you've kept track of inventory in the past. Detailed spreadsheets, special software, maybe a combination of things. The key is showing, how to keep that inventory system organized and efficient.
Right, because it's not like a regular retail store where you can just reorder the same stuff.
Exactly. Each piece is unique. And their sample response suggests mentioning those specific techniques. Regular stock checks, analyzing sales data to see what's moving, building relationships with reliable suppliers.
That supplier network is gold.
It is.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole space issue, right? You want a great selection, but you have to manage that storage space too.
Always juggling.
So how would you make sure your inventory is well-stocked, but also manageable? What strategies would you use to find that balance?
Those are good questions to consider. It's a constant challenge for sure.
Right.
Okay, ready for a tricky one. This is where things can get make or break for an antique business. How do you approach pricing items in an antique store?
Ah, the art of pricing. It's not always easy, is it?
Definitely not. This is where you need that deep knowledge of appraisal techniques, market trends, and of course, profit margins.
RoleCatcher really highlights that sweet spot, fair market value A&D profitability. You got to be able to explain those prices to buyers and sellers.
Right, because no one wants to feel ripped off.
Exactly. Their sample response talks about mentioning the specific resources you use for appraisals. Price guides, auction results online, even consulting with experts in certain areas.
It's about doing your homework.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the condition of the piece, how rare it is, what the demand is like right now, those all factor in.
So many things to consider.
I know, it's almost like each antique has a story, and its price reflects that story.
Yeah.
What are the top things you consider when you're figuring out how much an antique is worth?
Another great point to ponder. All right, moving on from pricing, let's talk about building a strong team. How about this one? How do you train and develop staff in an antique store?
Ah, building the A-team. This question is all about showing how you approach mentorship, how you create a learning environment.
So it's about more than just, showing them how to use the cash register.
Way more. RoleCatcher really emphasizes nurturing that passion and expertise in your team.
So like encouraging them to learn more about antiques, different appraisal techniques, even customer service skills that are specific to the antique world.
Yes. The sample response even suggests doing regular training sessions, maybe inviting guest speakers to share their knowledge, even sending staff to industry events and workshops.
I love that. Always be learning.
Right. And don't forget about feedback. How would you give constructive feedback and also recognize individual achievements? You want to keep your team motivated.
Definitely. A positive reinforcement and constructive criticism, it's a delicate balance.
It is. So how would you create that supportive and collaborative environment that helps everyone thrive?
I'm going to have to think about that one. Okay, ready to switch gears again? Let's talk marketing. How do you approach marketing and promoting an antique store?
Ah, yes. Getting the word out. It's a whole different ballgame these days.
Right. With all the online stuff, it's not just about putting an ad in the newspaper anymore.
Exactly. RoleCatcher really encourages thinking beyond those traditional methods. Social media, online marketplaces, email marketing, those are all powerful tools.
You've got to reach those antique lovers wherever they are.
Right. And their sample response talks about things like organizing special events, maybe workshops, or partner with local businesses. It's about getting people excited about antiques.
Creating a buzz. I like it.
So, think about it. What would be your headline, your hook? How would you showcase what makes your antique shop so special, so unique? How would you grab people's attention?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. All right, let's take a little break from the interview questions for a minute and tap into some broader career insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Okay, sounds good. Always up for some extra advice.
This guide really highlights the importance of hands-on experience. Internships, apprenticeships, even volunteering at a museum. These are all amazing stepping stones.
Getting your hands dirty, literally.
Exactly. It's about immersing yourself in the field, developing that keen eye for what's authentic, what's well-crafted, what's historically significant.
It's like training your eye to spot those hidden treasures.
Yes. And the guide also talks about different paths for advancement. You could manage a bigger shop, maybe specialize in a specific type of antique that really speaks to you, or even
even.
Start your own antique business.
Wow. Now that's a dream.
Right. But no matter what path you choose, the guide stresses one thing: continuous learning. Attending workshops, staying up to date on market trends, maybe even getting some formal certifications, all of those things can make you a more valuable asset.
Never stop learning. I love it.
Right. So we've covered a lot of ground, those key interview questions, some valuable career insights, and now let's bring back the AI magic.
Oh, yeah, that AI stuff was pretty impressive.
It is. So remember all those sample interview questions we talked about? RoleCatcher takes preparation to a whole new level.
Oh, how so?
They actually provide personalized feedback on your answers.
Wait, really? Like it listens to you and gives you notes?
Pretty much. It's like having your own personal interview coach right in your pocket. Their AI analyzes what you say, suggests improvements, and even helps you tailor your responses to specific job roles.
That's amazing.
It is. You can even practice answering questions on video and get feedback on your delivery, your body language, your tone of voice, all those things that matter in an interview.
Wow, that's next level. So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it too.
Exactly. And beyond interview prep, they have a bunch of other resources like this massive employer database so you can research different companies. It's like a one-stop shop for your job search.
That's incredible. Sign me up.
It really does sound like they've thought of everything to help you land that dream job.
Ah.
But even with all this tech, that hands-on experience is still super important, huh?
Oh, for sure. Think of it this way. The AI can help you, present yourself in the best light, but that real world experience, that's the foundation you're building on.
Got it. So it's like AI helps you talk the talk, but the experience proves you can walk the walk.
Exactly. And the guide actually suggests some great ways to get that experience. Internships, apprenticeships, even volunteering at a museum or a local historical society.
So it's not just about paid positions. Any way you can immerse yourself in that world helps.
Right. The more exposure you have, the better.
Okay, let's talk career growth. What does the guide say about, climbing that antique career ladder?
Oh, it lays out some pretty cool paths. You could aim for a management role in a bigger shop or maybe specialize in a particular niche, something that really fascinates you.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know, Victorian furniture, Art Deco jewelry, antique maps, whatever speaks to your heart.
There are so many possibilities. What about, like, going out on your own?
They talk about that too, starting your own antique business, becoming the boss.
That takes guts.
It does, but it can be incredibly rewarding.
Okay, but let's be real. The antique world is always changing. How does the guide address that need to stay current, to keep learning?
Well, they really emphasize that continuous learning has to be part of your journey.
So it's not just a one-time thing. You have to keep evolving.
Exactly. Attending workshops, keeping up with those market trends, trade publications are great for that. Maybe even getting some formal certifications.
So many ways to level up your antique game.
Right. And it shows potential employers that you're serious, that you're committed to this field.
All right, so let's bring this all together. What are the key takeaways from our deep dive into the world of antique shop managers?
Well, I think the biggest one is preparation. Know the role, research the company, practice those interview answers. Those are the fundamentals.
Those are must-dos. And remember, RoleCatcher can be your secret weapon. Their AI tools can really help you fine-tune that application, practice those answers, and just boost your overall confidence.
Definitely. And don't forget to let your passion shine through. Show them you're excited about antiques, that you understand the business side of things, and that you're committed to creating a great experience for your customers.
Those are the things that will make you stand out. All right, before we wrap up, one last thing for you to think about. Imagine you're putting together the collection for your dream antique shop. What one item would be your must-have centerpiece, the one that stops everyone in their tracks?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know. Let that image inspire you as you prepare.
Oh, yeah.
We encourage everyone to check out RoleCatcher and all the amazing resources they have. It's truly an invaluable tool. And best of luck with your interview. We know you're going to do great.